Hello, I'm Portia Stewart, editor of Firstline magazine, and I'm joined today by Mindy Valcarcel, editor of Veterinary Medicine, Brendan Howard, editor of Veterinary Economics, and Christy Reimer, editor of DVM 360. We're going to be speaking today a little bit about team pay. We recently released the 2014 Team Members Career Path Study conducted by Firstline magazine, and we'll be discussing some of that data right now and a little bit about how we can improve team pay and really influence career paths for team members. We recently did a research where we asked team members their top frustrations in practice, and the number one answer they give us is that their biggest frustration is how much they're paid and that they really want to be earning more. But you and I have also discussed this a little bit along the lines of, is that really what's frustrating them?
So, I don't know, that's the tough part. The salary says that pay is the most important thing, and that's the thing they find most frustrating. But when you talk to people, when you dig into the situation, there's oftentimes something else that's, when you feel your work is undervalued and you feel what you're doing is not important and you feel bad about your job, then you know what, you get really angry about how much you get paid too. And a lot of people talk about jobs they don't want, and they do because they get paid a lot. So if a technician loves their job, maybe pay is not the major issue. I mean, I feel like most technicians know that this is not the most lucrative field in medicine, that they could go into human medicine, RNs, and other positions. They're doing this for other reasons other than just that number on their paycheck.
That's an excellent point, Brendan. Mindy, some of our additional research was looking at the pay differential between uncredentialed technicians and veterinary assistants, and then we were seeing an average of a $14 an hour range for those team members, and then when you took it up to credentialed veterinary technicians, they began to earn in the $17 hour range, and then when you go all the way up to veterinary technician specialties, we're seeing a jump all the way up to $21 for just an average. So the information is really bearing out that team members do get paid more based on that credentialing. What do you think the value is for those clinicians when they're in practice to have those experienced team members, and how much value is that credentialing bringing to the medical side of the business?
So I think that one thing that is always said is that veterinarians need more time, to do what they are trained to do. And if you can get technicians trained to reliably gather, and of course they're always reliably gathering, but there's a trust factor when you are a specialist that you have really studied this, you can know this. They're almost more of a colleague. They have looked at this. You can trust what they're gathering. Plus, I think there's a trust factor probably for the client as well. If you say, well, I have a behavior technician, it can market your practice.
That's a great point, and that's something I think that all practices can do, is just really talk to their clients about the staff that they have and the team leaders that they have and the credentialing and how those people are working in their practice to take care of those pets. Christy, let's take a moment and talk about the financial picture for technicians and pay. What trends have you observed regarding team pay over the last five years?
Well, I think what we've been seeing is that veterinary visits have been on the decline, and that's been a challenge for a lot of practices. And I think that's probably had a limiting effect on team pay and probably doctor pay as well. But we've also seen, at the same time, we've been talking about overcapacity in the profession, and that veterinarians are not being fully utilized in their doctor capacity, like Mindy was talking about, all the time. And so when it comes to paying team members what they're worth, I wonder if that overcapacity is kind of, there's not the pressure on, with not a busy schedule, there isn't the pressure on the doctor to delegate the technician tasks to the technicians, and so the doctors are doing what the technicians really should be doing. And so if a practice could really get itself leveraged to where it's training its team members to earn the practice more, whether that's gathering the ultrasound image that the doctor can then interpret or work with the specialist to interpret, let the technicians do the technician thing, the doctor can focus on earning more money. I wonder if that would have an increased effect on team pay.
It's a good point. One of the pieces of data we noticed was that in the Firstline career path study, they talked about it's been a while since people have had, about 50% of people say they didn't get a pay raise last year and don't expect to get one again this year. Even as we notice the financial landscape changing, do you think that we're going to see this going up and people are going to start giving raises again? Are you hearing any movement toward returning to that state of improving and giving regular raises?
Well, I think the pain factor of the challenges that we've seen with the economy and the decline in client visits is probably going to kind of separate the performing practices from the low performing or from the underperforming practices. And so I think those that can adapt and do what it takes to be a better leveraged, better optimized, more well-run practice will probably have that ability to pay their team members more. Those that can't adapt to the current situation and find the ways to get the clients in are probably not going to survive at all.
Especially, you're talking about undercapacity, not enough visits.
Yes.
But the veterinarians still feel busy, and the team members feel busy too. And I've talked to a number of consultants, and they say when they go into the practices, oftentimes some of the veterinarians are doing what you described, which is instead of doing high-level things, they're doing things that other team members could do. And people feel busy, but really, a lot of times they fall into a sort of malaise. I see this happen at the front desk, where people are just like, they're a little depressed and down. That they know business is down, they know they're not going to get a raise. It all feels very depressing. And instead of kind of being proactive and taking that time, that downtime, to do more proactive things, and there's been lots of handouts and all kinds of articles written on dvm360.com that are all about what to do when you have downtime to help you build up those visits. I worry that a lot of places, it's easy to get trapped in doom and gloom. You hear about the pharmacies coming in and taking your business, and you hear about all these other things, all these competitors coming in, and it's easy to get down. But I think it hurts the whole team.
That's an excellent point, Brendan. And we've heard anecdotally, talking to veterinarians, different traits that they value in team members. What are some of the things that you're hearing that veterinarians are really looking for in employees, and how do you think they can really rise to the top and really be noticed, so when the money is there, that the pay can rise with it? And are there things that team members could be doing now that could be growing that business to really make it more possible for the veterinarians to pay more?
Yes, we've been talking here at CVC about this has kind of been a recurring theme, like identifying a practice or a team member who is really passionate about something, whether it's behavior, whether it's about learning how to take ultrasound images, whether it's the dental side, and kind of putting them in charge of that, like, come up with a marketing plan. Let's increase our dentals, and if that technician is out there really, or team member is out there really, chasing that business down and then helping to to move it through, they can help the practice earn more and therefore probably help increase their own pay as well.
And part of that, I think, is that the whole cat care and crisis thing that we've been saying. We've said identify someone in the practice that really loves cats, and that's a good place for a team member to step in and do that. And if you can say we have a dedicated team member to cats, and clients know that, they're going to start coming. You may get more visits, you'll get more money.
That's an excellent point, Mindy. And I think probably any team member could go to their veterinarian today and say, what are the things that you want to do on your list that you are not doing right now that you want me to do? And pick one of those things and go out and make a plan and change the practice. Brendan, 3 words for what you think veterinarians are looking for in a team member.
I don't know. I'll say it's the same thing I look for. I think it's easier to work with people who have passion. It's easier to work with people who can communicate. That's my second word. My third word is skilled. I think in most cases that's a given. I think you have the other problems come in communication and passion.
One last question for you all. What can team members do to really wow their bosses today?
Veterinary economics, I feel like we've recommended this a million times, and Firstline magazine has recommended exactly the same thing. We've told practice owners who want to give raises to their team members that the best way to do that is to come up with a plan with that team member that has clear goals and also clear outcomes. So you're going to work on social media, and you're going to do this much work every week, and it's going to yield this many likes or this many leads or people calling the practice. Or you're going to work on dental. You're going to going to learn about dental at the next CE conference, and we're going to work together to develop we're going to work together to work on compliance for dentals, and we're going to get more dentals out of that. And when I see more dentals on the bottom line on my balance sheet, then that's how you get a raise, that's how you get a promotion, that's how you get a bonus.
What would you say to team members who say, you're putting all the onus on me to earn more?
Well, that's part of it. I think, you can't change somebody else's actions or behavior, but you can do something about your own, situation. I think a lot of times we look for outside circumstances to change before we can feel like we can do anything, but really you probably have more power and more control over your situation than you realize if you look for those opportunities. There's lots of things I think that if you really sit down and think about it, could yield great results.
And I think Brendan's word passion is a big part of that. I mean, just take the gumption. You do have to do it yourself. If you're interested, like Christy said, just say, I'm passionate about this, show this to the veterinarian. How can the veterinarian not be happy with that? And how can there not be a positive benefit?
Portia, you've asked us a lot of questions, but you're with Firstline, and I feel like you're closer to the voice and the heart and the soul of the team members. So what I want to ask you is, how often do you think, for a lot of these team members that are struggling with low pay, how many of them do you think the answer is to quit and go find someplace else to work, whether it's in the veterinary industry or out?
I think if you don't love what you're doing every day, if you don't wake up and think this is great, and you don't love where you're working, my advice would be pick up, find that different practice, find the place where you can be passionate, where you want to get up in the morning, where you're excited, where you are. And when you're in the shower in the morning, the ideas are coming so fast you cannot even, get out of the shower fast enough to write them down and take them into your practice. If you don't have that, then I really think the next step is to, pull up the job listings, look for the next place, find the place that you think looks like a nice place to go. Visit it, go to the practice and see if you have to love who you work with, you have to love what you're doing, and if you can't say yes to that, then you're not in the right place. Thanks to you guys for sitting down with me this afternoon. It was a joy to talk about these topics together, and I think we really came out with a few ideas that team members can take home today and put to practice. And I would invite readers to tell us what you think. What steps are you taking today to really improve your pay, and what works and what doesn't? Send us your questions to firstline@advancedstar.com.